Good evening, Throttle Up Bible Biker Study. How we doing?
Good.
Are we happy to be out of the names?
I am very happy. Yeah.
Well, too bad, because chapter 11 has names.
It's got more names coming.
Well, heck.
That's what I read.
Oh, small spoilers. Now you're going to know what I'm about to read.
Yeah.
You got to pick one of those funky translations, so that way this will be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
Like, the interpretive dance edition.
Yeah.
Chronicles chapter 10. First Chronicles chapter 10. I guess, I've never been so happy to get into some history.
I know. Names we know.
Son of, pasture lands.
Since it's just us and we're all looking at our Bibles, do you want to even fool with it?
I haven't even been messing with it lately.
Okay.
This is a Bible study. You can't show up without a Bible.
Well, you can, but there's plenty around too.
Yeah, but
Well, one will be provided for you, like an attorney.
The printing. Those Bibles, the printing's a little.
They're so little, yeah, I can't see them with the glasses.
Do you think we should invest in some, normal size print ESVs, because that's what we teach out of? Or a normal size print King James?
Yeah, this is it. These are, I don't know why they're so tiny.
Budget.
The writing,
We're on chapter
Budget.
10.
well, mine's about the same size as all those. It's not that small.
Yeah.
There's a little teeny tiny writing in there.
Heck, I don't know. I can.
The first Bible I got, it was supposed to be large print, but it wasn't. And this one's supposed to be large print. It's bigger than the first one, but it's still not. When I bought my dad a large print, it was big.
Yeah.
Well, we need some James print.
Well, that would be like 3 words a page, so that's a little too big.
They made a parody of that in Monty Python where it literally was 3 words a page.
Monty Python did a lot of things.
Well,
It's too many of them have pots.
we can get into this. It's funny, as I was getting ready to get into 1 Chronicles 10, there's a song I like called Don't Bore Us, Get to the Chorus. And that's all I could think of. It's let's get to the chorus of it. Well, all right. My notes here are pretty, I guess, sporadic because this is really just kind of a fast history. The key thing to remember as we get into this is why is it being chronicled and listed here? And it's being done that way because, they're coming back from exile. They might have lost some of their history when they're exiled into a different land. And they're trying to figure out if God still has a purpose for them. All right. 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 1. Now the Philistines fought Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines overtook Saul and his sons, and the Philistines struck down Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, the sons of Saul. The battle pressed hard against Saul, and the archers found him, and he was wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and mistreat me." But his armor-bearer would not do it, for he feared greatly. Therefore Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. And when the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell upon his sword and died. Thus Saul died, and he and his 3 sons, and all his house died together. And when all the men of Israel who were in the valley saw that the army had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned their cities and fled, and the Philistines came and lived in them. All right. It's not looking good for poor old Saul. So, before Saul took his own life, he was already mortally wounded with many arrows. So he was already going to die anyways, and he saw he was surely going to die. So, he saw that the battle was completely lost and took his own life. All of Saul's sons at the battle die. There is a remaining son that lived on. And then everyone retreated to the other side of the Jordan. So basically what this battle did here is effectively cut Israel in half. But this is also brought up here because it's the end of the line for Saul, but opens up the kingdom for David to rule. And now we're going to get to it here in the next chapter. But that one son of Saul that lived, Israel wanted to make king. And there's going to be a little bit of a timeline thing here where David is hiding in the cave away from Saul, having the men slowly come to him of their own volition. And we're going to see that here pretty quick. Let's see here. So yeah, it's going to the start of the Davidic line, which Jesus will come from. And as we're going to get into this, all of this happened because Saul was unfaithful to the Lord.
Consulted mediums.
Yes. I don't want to hear none of you consulting AI. That darn AI.
If it wasn't for the Google, I couldn't do my job.
Y'all need to go back to the World Britannica Encyclopedia. Don't be consorting with none of that hoodoo AI.
Oh God, we had some when we were cleaning my mom's house up, and they were like cream colored when they were new, and she was a smoker.
Oh yeah.
And we like took one pass with the sponge, and it just was nasty. It was just like brown nicotine all over it.
My entire house was that way.
It's
Brown
gross.
nicotine.
Ours was burgundy.
But I will say there is something about that old like pipe tobacco smell. You're like,
Pipe, yes, but hers were like cigarettes. That
Oh,
had
yeah.
filterless Camels, and Mom smoked True. They were supposedly not as deadly. But she's the one who died of lung cancer.
My mom's were cool.
Filterless Camels, though, didn't kill Daddy.
well, you know,
That's what my dad said.
it was a different age and time. You know, like heck. Oh, let's see here. Verse 8. Next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa, and they stripped him and took his head and his armor, and sent messengers throughout all the land, the Philistines to carry the good news to their idols and to the people. They put his armor in the temple of their gods and fastened his head in the temple of Dagon. But when all Jabesh Gilead heard all that the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and took away the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons, and brought them to Jabesh. And they buried their bones under the oak in Jabesh and fasted 7 days. So Saul died for his breach of faith. He broke faith with the Lord in that he did not keep the command of the Lord, and he also consulted a medium seeking guidance. He did not seek guidance from the Lord. Therefore, the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, the son of Jesse. So something else here. What they did to Saul was actually considered worse than death, because they defiled his body, stuck his head in the temple of their god, and really just like desecrated. Super disrespectful. But there's always a but here. God in his mercy still had the mighty men give Saul proper burial after all. And this was done because the people of Jabesh, Saul rescued their village earlier on. So this is them paying respects to God, and also them being faithful when Saul was faithless, still doing what was right in the event of so much evil. And this is really all because of the spiritual failures of Saul. When God gives it to us, we have to give it back to God. I think that's really the hardest test there. Is When you've got your peace and God's blessed you, will you still show up and give it back to God? Let's see here. The other thing of why this is listed here is as the tribes of Israel are coming back together, this is a really clear example of, hey, disobey the Lord, you're going to die. So it's a clear moral lesson there too for the people returning. Any questions on chapter 10? All right, see you later. I'm done. Let's go home. 12 minutes in. All right. Now, there's something interesting here that I'm going to read as we get into this. Let me pull it up real fast. I should have had this pulled up ahead of time. On chapter 11. Don't worry, I'm not consulting AI here. I think the man up there, sitting up there, is a hypocrite. All right. So David's appointed king. So starting out here, chapter 11, verse 1. Then all Israel gathered to David at Hebron and said, Behold, we are your bone and flesh. In times past, even when Saul was king, it was you who led out and brought in Israel. And the Lord your God said to you, You shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and you shall be prince over my people Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king. Came to the king at Hebron, and David made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel, according to the word of the Lord by Samuel. All right, a couple things here. It says all Israel. So this is the vision here, is that all these tribes coming out of exile are all going to be unified here again.
Well, didn't this happen before the Babylonian exile, this portion? Because Nebuchadnezzar came and got a different king.
Yes. This is recounted here as the vision of restoration.
Okay.
It's kind of, but yes. Is it raining?
Yep.
Is my umbrella in the car? Yep.
Mine is too.
Well, I guess we're going to make it through the entire book of Chronicles if this rain holds up.
Oh, that rain's going to hold up to tomorrow.
Oh, darn it.
But it wasn't supposed to start till 8 o'clock.
Look at that.
Jeez.
Oh,
I
well.
don't even have my phone to look.
Oh, well.
I have my hood.
There you go.
The shirt I almost wore.
So-
I shouldn't have worn it.
The context here is, so then all Israel came together to David. Prior to this, only one of the tribes of Israel recognized David as king. The other tribes recognized the pretend king Ishbosheth, a son of Saul.
Okay.
So Ishbosheth was murdered in 2 Samuel verse 4. Now the tribes turn to David. So, and it says here, and this is what I want to mention, it is significant that the chronicler, the author of this book, makes no reference to the 7 years in which David reigned over Judah. He begins with the crowning at Hebron when all Israel acknowledged his kingship. This was actually David's third anointing. The first was before his family, when Saul and Samuel, when David was very young. The second was the anointing of recognition by Judah after the death of Saul. This third anointing was after the defeat of Ishbosheth, a son of Saul who claimed the throne. It is sad that the tribes only turned to David when their previous choice, a son of Saul, was taken away. On the same principle, it's sad when Christians only recognize Jesus as king when other options crumble. We should choose Jesus outright, not when the other options fail. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because that little bit of history is like, oh, okay, now we're at where we're at. And the other part of this too, and what's going to come about, is it's showing David's growing popularity and how it's winning over even people who were opposed to his ruling, all under that umbrella. Let's see here. I already covered that. As we get into what I'm about to read, David was a man after God's heart. Perfect? No, but a man after God's heart. And all his successes were from the Lord. So let's keep on going here. Verse 4. And David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, that is, Jebus, where the Jebusites were, the inhabitants of the land. The inhabitants of Jebus said to David, "You will not come in here. You will not come in here. We're fine. You will not come in here." Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, that is, the city of David. David said, "Whoever strikes the Jebusites first shall be chief and commander." And Joab the son of Zeruiah went up first, so he became chief. And David lived in the stronghold, therefore it was called the city of David. And he built the city all around from the Millo in complete circuit. And Joab repaired the rest of the city, and David became greater and greater, for the Lord of hosts was with him. So a couple things here. As the Millo, the term means filling, and probably refers to the infilling area between the hills of Jebus and Zion by the means of a terraced retaining walls meant to make the city level. And so this demonstrates David's conquest and success in a fortified capital, and successful building projects often display the blessing of God on a king. So the fact that he was able to take over all this. So this is the chronicler being like, hey, David was blessed by the Lord, and that's why these things were able to come to pass. Make sense? All right. Now we get on to David's men in tights. Because we're men in tights. Don't think that we're sissies.
No Brooks, oh boy.
That movie is a treasure.
Agreed.
That, The Princess Bride, and Monty Python.
Well,
3 treasures.
Bride. I never saw Monty Python.
Inconceivable!
Did Mel Brooks do Princess Bride?
I forget. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No.
That doesn't
I don't think
ring
so.
like a Mel Brooks.
No, he didn't do Princess Bride. He did Men in Tights though.
Yeah, it was really funny. I saw this video. It was Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, and they have like little champagne flutes, and they go to cheers, and then they just awkwardly look at each other, and it's like when you can't remember which one of these you put the poison into, and they just keep looking at each other awkwardly, and they eventually set them down, and neither one of them takes a drink, and all I could think of was inconceivable. You don't know which one of these has the poison. Oh, I'm probably gonna have to watch it again.
I am now.
All right, let's get to the mighty men without tights.
As you wish.
All right, now these were the chiefs of David, the chiefs of David's mighty men, who gave him strong support in his kingdom, together with all Israel, to make him a king, according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. This is an account of David's mighty men. Jehoshabim, a Hachmite, was a chief of 3. He wielded a spear against 300 whom he killed at one time. That's a pretty mighty man. And next to him among the 3 mighty men was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite. He was with David at Pasdammim when the Philistines were gathered there for battle. There was a plot of ground full of barley, and the men fled from the Philistines, but he took his stand in the midst of the plot and defended it and killed the Philistines, and the Lord saved them by great victory. I remember what I was forgetting to mention. The Philistines were pretty much like a seafaring people, so they had weapons and armor from Rome, and they also had iron, and made full use of iron, which wasn't really around at that time, so their weapons were better, which is also why Saul fell. They were also heavy drinkers, as archaeologists have discovered.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but it's like, okay, Saul was militarily outclassed. So, another...
And they had liquid courage, so...
And they had liquid courage. But I mean, really, it's just the Lord's judgment on Saul by the means of the Philistines.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. 15. 3 of the 30 chief men went down to the rock of David at the cave of Adullam when the army of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then at Bethlehem. And David said longingly, "Oh, that someone would give me water to drink from the well at Bethlehem that is by the gate." Then the 3 mighty men broke through the camp of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. But David would not drink of it. He poured it out to the Lord and said, "Far be it from me before my God that I should do this. Shall I drink of the lifeblood of these men? For at the risk of their lives they brought it. Therefore he would not drink it. These things did the 3 mighty men."
If I was one of those 3 mighty men and I went through all of those
Yeah,
guys
you
who
better
gave me
drink
drink
it.
and brought it, and then he poured it out, I'd have been a little ticked off.
Well, so here's the thing.
He should have said, no, don't do that before they went.
Well, he didn't ask them to do this. They did it of their own volition. This was not a command.
No, I understand that. He just wished it, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to do this for you." And they did it for him. And he's like, "I can't drink this. No.
Well, the reason why he did it is he's showing humility that, because he wouldn't have risked their lives to do so. Mm-hmm. So he's giving this thing that's precious to him as a drink offering to the Lord. Because being in Bethlehem, he wants to drink from the childhood well of the city he used to live in. So it's a sign of humility, really. There was another comment on that as well. Yeah, that's not the one I was after. Sorry, bear with me here. No, here we go. So David spent his time in this cave when those who had become his mighty men first came to him. This passage describes something that either happened, 1 Samuel 22, verses 1 to 2, describes something that either happened during that time or against the battle of the Philistines when David went back to the cave of Adullam. It also shows how extensively the Philistines had invaded Israel in the days of Saul. And let's see here. Let me... David was so honored by the self-sacrifice of these mighty men that he felt that the water was too good for him and worthy to be poured out in sacrifice to the Lord. He believed that the great sacrifice of these men could only be honored by giving the water to the Lord.
Okay.
So the point of David's pouring Bethlehem's precious water on the ground is threefold. It highlights a great act of Israelite bravery. It exalts David's ability to inspire extraordinary loyalty, and is recognized as an act of worship. So, because I could see why you guys would be like, But given the context, ancient rulers really didn't put that much thought or faith into people's lives. So this is David being like, I value your guys' lives over this.
Right.
All right. Any questions on that? Verse 20. Now Abishai, the brother of Joab, was a chief of 30, and he wielded a spear against 300 men and killed them, and won a name beside the 3. He was the most renowned of the 30, and became their commander, but he did not attain to the 3. I'm not exactly sure, and I couldn't really find anything what that means. Did not attain to the 3. So maybe he's part of the 30, but he's not one of the mighty 3. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see here. 22. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was a valiant man of Kabzeel, a doer of great deeds. He struck down 2 heroes of Moab. He went down and struck and put a line in a pit on a day when snow had fallen. And he struck down an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits tall. The Egyptian had in his hand a spear like a weaver's beam. But Benaiah went down to him with a staff and snatched the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and won a name beside the 3 mighty men. He was renowned among the 30, but he did not attain to the 3, and David set him over his bodyguard. All right.
So they just didn't get to stand and get the gold, silver, or bronze. They weren't 3.
I guess so. Well, I mean, let's see here. Like 18, let's see, divided by 12. The dude was 7.5 feet tall. 5 cubits. 5 cubits tall. I do believe like a weaver's beam is like a support structure type of beam. So like giant 2x4-esque size.
Yeah.
Maybe even a 4x4.
That's what I was thinking.
Like something massive. But now we're into finally some action. All right. So then these are the people that were slowly coming out to him while he was living in the cave. So this is kind of showing that he's amassing not only fame, but people are slowly coming to his side. And we're going to get more into that in chapter 12. These mighty men also show that David needed help, but he couldn't do all on his own. They needed a leader, and he needed mighty men. All right. Verse 26 here. The mighty men were Ashiel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, the son of Dodo, of Bethlehem, Shamoth of Herod, Helez the Pelonite, Ira, the son of Ikesh, and of Tekoa, Abiezer of Anathoth, Sibbecai the Hushtathite, Eli the Ahoite. See, I told you we were going to have names. Mahari of Netophah, Heled the son of Benai of Netophah, Ittai the son of Rebai of Gilbeath, of the people of Benjamin, Benaiah of Pirathon, Hurai of the brooks of Gash, Abiel the Arbathite, Asmareth of Baharim, Elhiba the Shalbanite, Hashem the Gibeonite, or Gizonite, sorry. Jonathan the son of Shagi the Harite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hezro of Carmel, Nari of Ezbai, Joel the brother of Nathan. We've got some normal names here. Mibhar the son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Narhi of Beeroth, the armor bearer of Joab the son of Zariah, Ira the Ethrite, Gareb the Ethrite, Uri the Hittite, Zabad the son of Ali, Adina, the son of Shiza, the Reubenite, the leader of the Reubenites, and the 30 with him. Hanan, the son of Makkah, Jehoshaphat, the Mithranite, Uzziah, the Ashtarite. Let's see here. Shammah and Jeziel, Giel, son of Hotham. This is probably my favorite one. Right? It's either Dodo or Hotham. Probably my favorite. The Arorite. Jediel, the son of Shimri. Joha, his brother, the Tizite. Eliel, the Mavite. Jeribai and Joshava, the sons of Elnam. And Ishma, the Moabite. Eliel and Obed and Jaziel, the Mesobite. All right. We touched on a key name in there. Anyone want to?
Uriah the Hittite.
Man. It's like she knows. Why is that important?
Because that is the man who David will later murder to get his wife, because he had committed adultery with her and
Yep.
conceived a child.
Yep. Man. You sure you don't want to be up here?
See, I can think back here. I can't think up there.
Man. But yeah, you are 100% correct.
That's why she's teacher's pet.
Look, I'm going to throw this out there.
I
We
think
should,
he didn't like that at all.
You threw yourself under the bus.
well, see, here's what's funny. It's like, when I said that, I was like, well, she's studying Jesus. She's Jesus's pet.
Yeah.
That's how, in my mind, that's what I was
That's not
thinking.
where that
That's
went.
not how Nikki heard.
I was like, we should all be teachers' pets.
She was like, "Hey, what about me?"
We should all be teachers' pets.
You didn't say preacher's pet. You said teacher.
Okay.
Well, Fred's the preacher. I mean,
He's not here, so right now it's not.
oh, buddy. But yes, it's you are 100% correct. But if anyone's having a baby, I recommend Hot Ham or Dodo is the name.
Is there cheese on that, though?
And you can have
cheese.
Exactly.
a sister named Arby's. These are my kids, Arby's, Hot Ham, and cheese. Oh, we got some real winner names here. The key thing with all of these listed names here is all the different tribes that get listed too. So he's getting people from all the tribes and bringing them under one umbrella. All right. So now we're moving into chapter 12. And we're getting into Ziklag, which I would, from what I've read, is a period of time when David was hiding from Saul in a cave. So this is where it gets confusing, and these are not necessarily in chronological order. Which gets even more confusing because the book is called Chronicles, and we think in chronological order. And the person who wrote the book is called the chronicler,
Right.
but it's not in order.
I just wonder if it was one person doing the chronicle.
That is, well, and see, that's the thing, is they're not really sure. I'm not sure if you were here for this, but I'll rehash it here real quick. Give me just a second here. So Jewish tradition regards Ezra as the primary author of Chronicles, Ezra and Nehemiah. But says it does not historically point to Ezra decisively, and all three books that come from it, or most scholars do not now think that all three books come from a singular author, although they share similar interests. So that's why they call it the chronicler as the author. But I feel like, yeah.
My introduction says that Ezra, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, incorporated the writings of several prophets into the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles.
Oh yeah.
Some of the prophets who wrote during this time are Nathan, Ahijah, Iddo, Shemaiah, and Isaiah.
Okay. Yeah, see, the last note on this one is like, it is often argued that the interest in the temple and its personnel indicates that the chronicler himself was a priestly or Levitical family. So somewhere in there. But I could also see maybe like certain sections were written by somebody and then somebody kind of brought them together. Kind of tough to say.
Wind blew, knocked it all out of order.
We haven't learned how to number pages yet. But also unlikely because it wasn't pages, it was a scroll.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 12 here. Now these are the men who came to David at Ziklag while he could not move about freely because of Saul, the son of Kish. And they were among the mighty men who helped him in war. They were bowmen and could shoot arrows and sling stones with either the right hand or the left hand. They were Benjaminites, Saul's kinsmen. So with the right or the left hand, that's showing that they're exceptionally skilled. So these aren't just any archers; these are like just the best. The chief was Ahiezer, then Joash, both the sons of Shema of Gibeah, also Jeziel and Pelet, the sons of Amaveth, Barakah, Jehu of Anathoth, Ishmaiah of Gibeon, a mighty man among 30, and a leader over the 30, Jeremiah, Jehaziel, Jonathan, Jozabad.
That was Johanan, not Jonathan.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Johanan, Jozabad, Gedereth, Eluzai, Jerimoth, Belialiah, I don't know. Shemariah, Sheptathiah, the Heraphite, Elkanah, Ishiah, Azriel, Jozer, Jashabim, the Korathites, and Joiah and Zebediah, the sons of Jeroham at Gedor, or of Gedor. So he's attracting even people who were once loyal to Saul to himself. People who see that he is the true anointed one.
Well, they were probably witnessing a lot of his ranting and raving, because even before he hated David, you remember he had angry fits, and that's why David got rid of the palace, even before he killed Goliath. He was sent up there to play the harp.
Yep.
And then after David kills Goliath, he's just like, acts like he doesn't even know who he is. It's like, this is the dude that's been playing the harp to calm you down.
I think it's like
so
dementia.
He's a little crazy.
And maybe Saul had some dementia or something. Or sundowners
or insanity.
Or
Just
insanity.
plain out insane.
Yeah, something like that. Alright, verse 8 here. From the Gadites there went over to David at the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty and experienced warriors, expert with the shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, who were swift as gazelles upon the mountains. So I'm just imagining bearded men who run fast. Let's see here. Easier the chief, Obadiah second, Eliab third, Mishmana fourth, Jeremiah fifth, Attai sixth, Eliel seventh, Johanan eighth, Elzabad ninth, Jeremiah 10th, Machbani 11th. These Gadites were officers of the army. The least was a match for 100 men, and the greatest for 1,000. These are the men who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it was overflowing all its banks, to put flight all those in the valleys to the east and to the west. So a couple things here. In ancient tradition, comparing people to animals was like a sign of like honor, but also strength. So faces like lions, so they're really ferocious and they're really fast like gazelles. But also this crossing the river. This would be right about the time where the river would just start to overflow its banks, maybe even more from the ice melting off from the mountains. So they're literally crossing from the worst side of the Jordan over to David just to be with David and be a part of this. That's how much they wanted to be a part of this. They didn't wait for good weather or anything to cross. It also shows them being super strong to not be swept away in the tide and drowned to death. Or current, I suppose it wouldn't be tide. Let's see here. So this would happen in March and April, somewhere around there. Any questions on that part? Nope. Okay. Verse 16 here. And some of the men of Benjamin and Judah came to the stronghold of David, and David went out to meet them and said to them, If you have come to me in friendship to help me, my heart will be joined to you. But if you betray me to my adversaries, although there is no wrong in my hands, then may the God of our fathers see and rebuke you. Then the Spirit clothed Amasai, chief of 30, and he said, We are yours, O David, and with you, O son of Jesse. Peace to you, and peace to your helpers, for your God helps you. So, interesting here. Let's see here. Clothed. It seems that the Spirit is compared to a garment that clothes Amasai, probably with the result that all can detect his inspired empowerment. It says this later in the New Testament too, be clothed with the Holy Spirit, put on the full armor of God. So it's just one of the many talents that the Spirit has. Let's see here. Then David received them and made them officers in his troops. Verse 19. Some of the men of Manasseh deserted to David when he came with the Philistines for the battle against Saul, yet he did not help them. For the rulers of the Philistines took counsel and sent him away, saying, At your peril to our heads he will desert to his master Saul. As he went to Ziklag, these men of Manasseh deserted to him. Abner, Jozabad, Jediel, Michael, Jozabad again, Elihu, and Zelatai, chiefs of thousands in Manasseh. They helped David against the band of raiders, for they were all mighty men of valor and were commanders in the army. For from day to day men came to David to help him until there was a great army, like an army of God. Imagine that. Like an army of God. God sending people one by one until David has enough people. Just imagine the Lord doing that. Also, these are additional tribes coming under the fold. While David was out in the cave, Israel was fighting the Philistines, and they were kind of on the same side because they were all against Saul. But the Philistines didn't want him because they thought that he might betray them. It might be a, what would you call it, double agent or double bogey. Let's see here. 23. These are the numbers of the divisions of the armed troops who came to David in Hebron and turned the kingdom of Saul over to him. According to the word of the Lord, the men of Judah bearing the shield and the spear were 6,800 armed troops. Of the Simeonites, mighty men of valor for war, 7,100. Of the Levites, 4,600. The prince Jehoiada of the house of Aaron and with him 3,700. Zadok, a young man mighty in valor, and 22 commanders of it from his own father's house. Of the Benjaminites, the kinsmen of Saul, 3,000, of whom the majority had to that point kept their allegiance to the house of Saul. Of the Ephraimites, 20,800 mighty men of valor, famous men in all their fathers' houses. Of the half tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were expressly named to come and make David king. Of Issachar, men who had an understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. 200 chiefs and all their kinsmen under their command. Of Zebulun, 50,000 seasoned troops, equipped for battle with all the weapons of war to help David with singleness of purpose. Of Naphtali, 1,000 commanders, with whom 37,000 men armed with shield and spear. Of Danites, 28,600 men equipped for battle. Of Asher, 40,000 seasoned troops ready for battle. Of Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh from beyond the Jordan, 120,000 men armed with all the weapons of war. This is a lot of people coming to David's side. These are just the men. This is not the women, the children, all that. Interesting to note here that the Levites are also counted. You know, they are not only in the service of the temple, they can also wage war. So kind of interesting there. Reminds me of that old game, Age of Empires. You could have priests, and they would go convert your enemies, and they'd bring them over to your side.
I never heard of that.
Oh, I spent a lot of my childhood playing Age of Empires. And you send a bunch of priests over, and they'd be all evangelizing, and you'd be amassing troops from the enemy. Oh, just funny. So now we're getting like kind of all of the 12 tribes coming to David against Saul, and that's how they unify the kingdom. Let's see here. Verse 38. All these men of war, arrayed in battle order, came to Hebron with a whole heart to make David king over all Israel. Likewise, all the rest of Israel were of single mind to make David their king. So singleness of purpose, single mind, they're all coming together in accordance. Let's see here. Yeah. We're right on track here. And they were there with David for 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers had made preparation for them. Also, and also their relatives as far as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali came bringing food on donkeys and on camels and on mules and on oxen, abundant provisions of flour, cakes of figs, clusters of raisin, and wine and oil, oxen and sheep, for there was joy in Israel. Finally, when all Israel comes under God's appointed king, there is joy. Finally. Is that the end of the chapter? Hey, it is. Finally. They finally ring in their new king. There's a party. Let's see here. They celebrate their new king with joy of feasting. This happy event would have been a model for the community returning from exile in Babylon. It also prefigures the messianic banquet when Christ returns. So, food, yes. Yes. Heck. I mean, they kept bringing it in like a Congo line of food. Any questions on any of that? Are we now starting to see why this is called a book of hope? The Lord did all these things, blessed David, appointed him. You're coming back from exile. You're going to have a king. So, all right. Now we can be in probably 13 through 15 next week. Moving right along. Man, I'm happy to be out of the names.
Before you turn off the camera, can you announce the benefit donation that we're taking up today and Sunday? That way, if anybody wants to bring money Sunday, they can.
Yes, and the benefit donations for that girl in the hospital, correct?
Maverick Grant.
Yes.
She's also known as True. So.
We're taking up a donation for Maverick Grant, who is in the hospital with a lung condition, I believe. Today, is it tomorrow or was it Sunday?
Well, BBC is taking it money today and Sunday. I'm not sure
Okay.
when the benefit is. Do you have a time?
So today and Sunday.
It's on the messenger one, isn't it?
It is, but it's,
Technology.
yeah.
Let's see.
There it is.
It's the 14th.
The
at 4
14th.
p.m.
March 14th at 4 p.m. A
Yep.
benefit ride or just a fundraiser?
It's
It's just
a
a big-
fundraiser at
Just a
the,
fundraiser at the clubhouse?
at the Damaged Incorporated Funhouse.
But Pops in our council meeting had requested that BBC do a separate donation, and he is going to get it to the family outside of what they bring up there.
Okay. So we're going to have a church donation and a club donation.
Correct.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Bye.
See you later. So yeah, this taking up a donation today and Sunday for the church portion, and then March 14th for the clubhouse portion. Get with us if you need any more information. And now we're going to turn off the cameras, go to personal and private prayer request, and we'll see you guys next week.